the last year or two, the way I sew has changed dramatically. I used to buy all the fabric, all the notions, all the patterns, you name it, I owned it, but it became very overwhelming very quickly. I've been on a quest to declutter and own a lot less. Moving forward, I want to sew sustainably, and that means using what I have and buying things on a project by project basis only. So I figured if this is something that was going through my mind, it may be going through your mind as well. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my step-by-step process for owning less and enjoying your sewing more. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to declutter any tools, any fabrics, any notions that you no longer use or want. So when we buy fabric, we often buy it, we fall in love with it, we have to have it there and then. The same with patterns and notions as well. It goes in our stash, we'll sew it later, we never get round to it, and then our tastes change and we look back through our stash and we think, I'm not going to sew that. I don't even like that fabric anymore. What was I thinking buying that? So go through your stash, take any fabrics out that you really don't want or you don't see yourself using in the next, say, year. You can put any timeline on it, but make it quite short term and put it aside for donation. Perhaps you can give it to someone else or take it to your charity shop. Either way, you've got to get it out of your home. The same goes for any physical patterns you've got. The same goes for notions that you are no longer using, and tools, sewing tools. If you don't use all those sewing tools that you've got, pass them on to someone else who can. By doing this, you're not only helping others, you could potentially earn money by selling stuff, and the most important thing, you're going to free up space. You're not going to have so much eye clutter, and it's going to bring your stress levels down. When I give this advice from a position of having done that. I used to have one of these Calyx units completely filled with fabric. In fact, that was the reason I bought these Calyx units. And now I've got 2 cubby holes that have fabric, which amounts to about 10 pieces. So I've really, really downsized, and I feel a million times better for it. So now you've decluttered the things that you don't want. You should be left with the things that you do want, the things that you've used, you are going to use, and you want to use. So in that case, now you have to allocate a specific space for it. Give it a home where it will live. Ideally, it's going to be somewhere that you have easy access. So you're going to want to find a specific area to home these things. For me, it is the Calyx units. That's where all my sewing stuff sits now. It was all over my home and it no longer is. I've just got it in some of those cubbies, and I still want to downsize that more. The benefit of giving your sewing stuff a specific home is that you know where it lives. It's not all over the home. You're not losing things that you really need on the spur of the moment, and you know what you've got. It's tidy, less eye clutter, and faster sewing. And that's a really good tip. It will speed up your sewing significantly. So the next thing to do in order to be more of a minimalist or owning less hobby maker is you need to organise the things you have. So we've decluttered the things we don't need. We've put the things we do want in a specific area. I'm pointing to my Calyx units here. But that is not good enough on its own. It will soon get out of control again if you let it. So what you're going to do now is you're going to organise stuff. Get yourself some bins. Get yourself some labels. Put certain things in certain places. Know where everything is. Keep a list if you need to. This is going to stop your supplies from becoming overwhelming. It's going to stop you from losing things and buying stuff again that you didn't know you have. And also, again, there's going to be less eye clutter. And it's not only going to be you that's going to benefit. It's going to benefit everyone who lives in the home. If you have a lot of sewing stuff, I know some of us have a hell of a lot. Just start in a small area and work little by little. This next one is potentially the biggest thing you can do to get your sewing supplies, your sewing life under control. Stop buying shit you don't need. Ask me how I know. I used to buy it all of it. You've seen that video, the dumbest sewing purchases. That's only a very short list of some of the most stupid things I've ever bought. Maybe I'll do a video one day where I list everything I've bought, but we might be here for days and days. That'll be a really boring video. Don't go late at night looking around shops. Don't search into Amazon sewing tools and look for things that you never knew existed. I've done it. Don't go perusing sewing shops and buying fabric just because you like the look of it without any kind of plan. You can do what you want, but these tips are going to help you if you want to minimise your sewing supplies, your sewing life, and improve the way you sew and the experience that you have. A few years ago, I was working, I had disposable income, and I used to buy as much fabric as I could, and I'd get the cheapest fabric I could as well. My whole aim was that I knew one day I would have to give up work and I wouldn't be able to afford to buy fabric. If I had all the fabrics, I could continue sewing. But actually, if I had put that money in a savings account, I'd have money to buy fabric later on. On my decluttering journey, I heard someone say that your home is not a storage supply box centre. It's not like extra storage that you're going to put in a container. Your home isn't a container. Your home is somewhere that you need to enjoy, not only you, but your family members as well. And it's somewhere you want to look nice. So don't buy fabrics just because they look pretty or just because you feel like you might sew them one day in the future. That dopamine hit that you get, that's why you're doing it. You've got a dopamine hit because very soon that dopamine hit will come back down within hours, maybe even minutes. Then you're left finding somewhere to store this stuff and you're going to feel increasing pressure to sew with it. Now, I have told myself that I will not be buying any more fabric until I've used what I got. And even with those 10 or so pieces, I feel pressure to sew. I could probably last another 9 months without buying any fabric. And that is a good thing because that's going to save me a lot of money. So the next tip I've got is to do a monthly audit. So it doesn't have to be monthly, it could be quarterly, it could be bi-yearly, bi-annually. At some regular point, do audits of your sewing stuff. Go through your sewing stuff. You've decluttered, you've allocated a space, you've organised it, you've stopped buying stuff. So now you have to keep going through that stuff and auditing whether you are really, truly going to use it. And it may be over time what you think now is going to be very different to in 3 months' time. And that's something I'm doing. I'm always organising my stuff. I was doing it the other night. When you do this, it's a really good opportunity to declutter over and over again so you're not accumulating stuff, because with the best will in the world, we're still going to accumulate stuff. And maybe when you're doing this audit, you can see anything that you do need that is low, that is something, maybe it's buttons or something that you regularly use, and then you can repurchase those if you need to. If you don't know, I do have a channel dedicated to decluttering and home life called Bella Clementine, so you can get more of this type of content over there. But I hope these tips helped you. If you follow these tips, your sewing life will improve. It will get better, it will get faster and happier. I absolutely promise you that, and I know that because I've done it myself. Check out this video where I talked about the sewing tools that have lasted me a lifetime of sewing, because they're all the things that I really need. Most of everything else could go.